Hi.
It's Rachel, right? Rachel?
Yeah, Rachel. And it's
Yeah.
Peter? All
Yes.
right.
Yes. Okay. So we both watched Captain Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
What Captain Marvel from 2019, the 22nd Marvel cinematic movie to be made. 22nd, Rachel, can you believe that?
That's a lot of movies. That is a successful franchise right there.
Ugh. Um Brie Larson, Jude Law, bunch of other people released on Women's Day 2019, which is, I don't think they did that by mistake. Do you?
I don't think so. I think that was definitely intentional. I kind of like
Yeah.
it. I mean,
Yeah.
on the one hand, I like it. On the other hand, it feels like they're capitalizing on, I don't know.
Yeah. I know what you mean. A lot of those things, they can either come across as like pandering or, yeah,
Hmm.
like a cash grab or something.
Yeah.
Um, What did you just initial like did you like the movie? Did you not like it? What'd you think?
Um, I did. I liked it. It took a little while to get going for me. Like the beginning, um, was fine. And then like towards the middle and end, it ramped up. And I went from being like, this is an okay movie to I would die for Brie Larson.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I and I think, but like looking back, I think that was the correct kind of pacing to have because there's so much background that you need to give without necessarily stopping and like giving direct exposition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I enjoyed the movie. Um and I liked that this movie was like, by the way, there's gonna be spoilers all over this, so whoever I don't know. They didn't tell me to not do spoilers. So whoever's listening to this out there, like spoiler alert, right?
Right. Yep.
Uh, um, so, um, like this is it's an origin story, which I'm not
Hmm.
like opposed to origin stories really. Like I know like a lot of people say that like, oh, origin stories aren't great. I don't really mind them. But I like that they sort of flipped the narrative like frame a little bit because it's not like the straight ahead origin story,
Right.
right? Like the with all the flashbacks and she has amnesia. Um oh, anyway, my point was there's spoilers. Go see the movie and then listen to this. That would be
Yes.
my recommendation. So
I agree.
yeah. But yeah, the so that first part of the movie, right? Like it starts with her on like some other planet and she's fighting Jude Law and they're trying to like give us the exposition of who the Screes and or the Krees and the Skrulls
Yeah,
are.
the Kree and the
And
Skrull.
that pacing for that part of the movie, I was like, I don't understand what they're talking about. I don't understand what this planet is. I agree with you. The pacing for that first part, I wanted to be more invested in Brie Larson's character from the get go. Like
Mhm.
eventually I got to where you said like she's charismatic as hell for a lot of different reasons.
Mhm.
And I don't think that beginning worked for me really well. It was just like I like the I can't even like I just saw the movie, right? I can't even remember exactly like I couldn't describe what the place looked like that she was in. I remember it being kind of gray.
Yeah, very futuristic. Like there's hover cars outside and there's tall buildings and everything's kind of dark.
Yeah, it just wasn't like I don't know. And then she goes to see the Supreme Intelligence, played by Annette Bening, who's does not get enough screen time or does not have enough to do in the movie. I think like she's great.
She's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, and it's cool to see her in a movie like that because she doesn't usually make movies like that.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, that must
but
have been fun.
yeah, but like I really like I almost turned to the person next to me. I almost called somebody and said, "What's going on? I don't understand what's going on in this part of the movie." Like I kind of zoned out a little bit.
Yeah, I was starting to get a little sleepy in the middle.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it like there was, and the thing is, it's not like there wasn't a lot of action in the beginning of the movie because there was. Like there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but by the same token, I do kind of like them just jumping into it without being like, we are the Kree. Here's what the
No,
Kree are. Here are the Skrull. Here are who the Skrull are.
I agree with you. I agree with you. But like, so the just let me let me get to the point that I think the movie should have started.
Yeah.
Like, so, and we can jump back and forth, but like, there's that first part they explain and explain, explain. Oh, look, she's part of this. She's part of this like combat crew. They go and it's like they're about to start killing people, but they're like, oh, it's okay because they're aliens. They're the Skrulls and they're the bad guys, and they have that classic bad guy look of like orcs. They're shape changers and they're orky looking, and that our brains are taught to think from movies like that's the bad guy, right?
Right.
Um, and like the whole like infrared display of like shooting people felt very like Call of Duty, like bro first person shootery stuff, right? And then I can't tell you how she crash landed on Earth, but she does. Like I really don't. I couldn't process where they were, what was going on. But she crashes on Earth and she crashes through the blockbuster, the roof of the blockbuster video,
Yeah.
right?
She crashes through the early 90s reference.
I feel like the time from I feel like the time from the start of the movie until she crashes into the blockbuster, that time needed to be compressed a lot somehow.
Yes.
Like that's when I got interested. I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, it's like okay, okay." Because then all the like fun payoff stuff starts to happen, right? Like we encounter CG Samuel L. Jackson,
Mhm.
they did a really good job. I at first it was a little uncanny valley-esque, like it was real. He has both of his eyes, and I was like, "Bleh." I noticed some like little facial tics that seemed a little off, but then after that, I sort of got used to it, and I had to remind myself that he's like mid to late 60s, and that's not what he looks like anymore.
Yeah, I thought they did a pretty good job. I kind of had the same response to him, like, oh, uh, okay. And more so with Agent Coulson. I felt
Oh
like
yeah.
he kind of looked like he had just had just some like real like on the good side of mediocre plastic surgery.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
Um, but
Yeah. I like how you pronounce his name Coulson. Isn't it
it's
Colson?
Coulson.
I'm pretty sure. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure
you're
it's
right.
Colson. But Coulson, I mean, that's pretty neat too.
Yeah, this is what happens when you read a lot of your reviews and news articles and not
Oh,
listen to
oh, oh,
audio.
oh, that's yeah, that makes sense. Um, yeah, so that once it gets to that part, like it's pretty good, I think, right? Like, she's trying to figure out her memory, like piecing it together. Lawson is is Annette Bening's character's
Yeah,
name,
Dr.
right?
Lawson.
Yeah, she's the AI supreme intelligence that leads the Skr. What the hell are they? What the hell is their
Okay.
name? I get their two
So
names.
the Kree,
Kree.
the Kree,
Kree. That's right.
which
Yeah.
bothered me just a little because there are a Kree people.
Is there really?
Um, it's spelled different. I think it's. Let me double check on that.
Oh, okay.
Actually, make sure I'm. Let's see. Yeah, the Kree are one of the largest um, groups of First Nations in North America.
Oh my God.
It's
Yeah,
spelled
that's not good.
CREE. Spelled different.
Oh, yeah, that's not
I
great.
was like, come on, come on,
Yeah,
Marvel.
I mean, yeah, they could have done their homework. Also, I think it was just a blatant mistake. Like, I don't think they're actively trying to.
No, no, no. And it was probably written. I don't know when Captain Marvel was actually written, but
Yeah, I think
um,
it was written in the '60s. Like that's when her character was first created.
okay,
But those people have been around forever. But the time,
right.
I think, was your point like that at the time people were less informed or something?
Less informed and less likely to do. I don't know what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah,
Less
yeah.
likely to care about
No,
that.
I agree. I agree with you. Yeah.
Um,
It's also, yeah. Anyway, we don't.
anyway,
That's not a point to dwell on. I think that,
yeah.
but I get their
So
names confused. Kree and
scroll.
Skrull. I always wanted to
Yeah,
say like Krull or any. Yeah,
yeah. So
and the
the
Krull. Go ahead.
I was going to say so Annette Bening, um, when you go see the Great Intelligence or the what is it the
Supreme, I
Supreme?
think. Supreme
Yeah. Okay.
Intelligence.
Yep. Oops. Yeah. The Great Intelligence is from Doctor Who.
Oh, is
Um,
it?
yeah. So the Supreme Intelligence appears as somebody from.
Pardon my microwave sound. Go
That's
ahead.
right. The Great Intelligence appears as somebody from your mind, and so it appears as somebody different to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And so when Captain Marvel, who's known as Verse, when
Mm-hmm.
Vers, Vers,
They call
Vers,
her Veers in the movie.
Veers, that's what it was,
Veers. Yeah.
Veers. Um, Veers sees this person that she doesn't recognize, but is apparently important to her.
Yeah.
And that's our sort of first clue that something is not quite right.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. 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 And then we figure out that she has amnesia and she's having all these flashbacks from her past on Earth that she doesn't remember. What did you think about that? There was like that montage of that sort of like set the ground for her like being kind of like a just a badass. Do you remember that? What did you think about that? There was two, I think.
I'm trying to
Do you need
remember.
more cues about it?
Yeah.
Like I think there were two. Like she had these flashbacks. Well, first of all, I remember when she gets captured by the Skrull and they're probing her memory to figure out who Lawson is because it's revealed later on that they want that light speed drive.
Right.
And when they're probing her memory
Oh
and
yeah.
they show her like they're replaying, they're like, okay, zoom in on that memory, zoom in on that, and then like, okay, here's that loop of Dr. Lawson walking back and forth, and she turns and she's there, and she turns and she's there again.
Hmm.
You know what I thought in that moment? I was like, this entire movie is going to be a superhero version of Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and I am so excited about that. I was like, yes, 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 this is going to be so good. I can't wait. It's like weird. In my head, I was writing the whole movie. I'm like, oh God, it's going to be like this weird, cool, like shapeshifters, and you don't know who's who. And like they're messing with Captain Marvel's brain and it's a whole like mystery thing, and it's back and forth and like what's real and what's not. I was so excited because in that moment I thought this is exactly what this movie is going to be for the
Hmm.
next 2 hours, and it was not that.
Yeah. I had a similar moment where I was like, oh, okay, like you know somebody's controlling it. You know you figure that out pretty quick when you have voices saying like, oh no, let's look at this one, or this
Yeah,
isn't right.
yeah.
This can't be right.
Hmm.
Um, and I was like, oh, is that how they're like framing this whole thing? Is like, are we going to find out her backstory and then her being trapped is her now? But
Hmm.
then
You know,
it
like
wasn't.
no, it didn't play out like that, and it's not. It wasn't bad, but I always like. I might be breaking our premise here a little bit, but you and I talk about this before, like how we would like fix a movie or whatever,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
I always want to make it like weirder. The way to the way to fix, I think, part of this movie and give it a little more like oomph would be to do that, to be like this takes place in the 90s and Infinity War took place now, right? So the way to have her like be out of commission for that whole time and not know what's going on is to have her trapped by the scroll for the entire time
Hmm.
in some sort of stasis, and they're just fucking with their brain the whole time. That would sort of
Right.
ruin that would sort of ruin the cool narrative about like the people that we are programmed to think are our enemies are not always our enemies,
Hmm.
because they have that like flippy floppy thing with the scrolls, which I think is really cool. Um, but I think I don't know. I like my version. I think that would be fun too.
Um, what's kind of interesting is that there's something about how they were flipping through her memories. Um, their tone of voice made me question if they were really bad
Hmm. Oh, I
because
see.
I wasn't getting any like bad guy cues
Yeah, yeah.
from their voice. I was like, wait a minute, is Brie Larson a bad guy? What
I
is
see.
there was like a moment, and then later when they're fighting, like, no, 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 clearly the Skrulls are the bad guys. But there was this moment, um, when I questioned it, and then
Yeah.
but I was convinced enough after that to think that they were definitely the bad guys. And so when
Yeah.
the reveal came out, I was like, oh, I was still
Yeah.
excited and like surprised.
I see. Did you believe? It took me a while to actually believe. It took me a while to actually believe that they were supposed to be the good guys, because I think because I got so I had like pre-written the movie when I
Hmm.
saw all of the like they're doing things with her memory, and they're shapeshifters. Those two
Hmm.
things combined,
Hmm.
um, and also because I don't trust people,
Yeah.
like I'm like, oh, this is a movie, and like, what do you think about that premise? If that were the movie, like Brie Larson has been gaslighted and trapped in her own head for 20 years, and the end of the movie is her breaking out, realizing her powers, and then she gets the beeper from Nick Fury.
That would be amazing, actually.
I think that would be like,
That'd be
oh,
incredible.
I'd be like, oh shit. She has been trapped in her own mind. People have been like telling her that they're good guys, which I guess there's still that part in there. Like she had been, to use the phrase of the time, like gaslit by and misled by Jude Law and everybody else. So she still
Hmm.
has that, but I wish they would have leaned into it more, because she
Yeah.
really is like she really is just now coming out of that and realizing the truth and being her own person. But like, I don't know. I think I want these Marvel movies to be more fucked up than they are.
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
at least fucked up on the level of like a Twilight Zone or a Star Trek level. You know, like the pocket, like, oh, Riker was in his own head the whole time, you know,
Yeah.
whatever.
No, I get that, and I agree. I think I do wish they had leaned a little bit more into that because she had trusted the Kree so implicitly because she remembered nothing from before. So she
Mm-hmm.
never questioned that these Skrull were the bad guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, and that level of betrayal to take advantage so completely of somebody, and
Mm-hmm.
like that kind of comes out toward at the end. But I don't know. I wish she would have. Well, I don't know. I don't know. Part of me wishes she would have struggled with it a little bit more. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I think maybe she doesn't because they're highlighting just what kind of an incredible badass she is on a lot of different levels.
Yeah. I uh, I I don't often want to get in the weeds of like the mechanics of a fantasy movie, which this is,
Hmm.
you know, like
Hmm.
I often don't want to get in the weeds about the mechanics of stuff, but um when you're trying to establish who is and who is not a shapeshifter,
Hmm.
I wish there would have been something else there.
Some other cue.
Something, yeah, like build in a. I guess they sort of built it in with the cat later on, which we should definitely talk about Goose
Yeah.
the cat. Um, but they sort of built it in with that a little bit, but like just when she's sitting down with Fury and they're talking about and they're she's trying to figure out like if he's a shapeshifter or not, and it was just like, tell me something is totally unverifiable about you, and tell me something weird about yourself. Like she couldn't verify any of that information, and she was just like, oh yeah, okay, you are who you say you are.
Yeah. Yeah. I got the feeling that it was like if he had hesitated
Yeah.
or been bad at it, but you would think that for people that can shapeshift, they would have learned how to improv.
Yes,
Like,
exactly. Like you would have your entire existence, you would be like playing. You would. I feel like if your civilization is built around that. Yeah. Anyway, that's why I don't want to get too far into it about that. But like when all that was happening, I really in my head I'm like, oh, they're leaving the door open for all of this stuff to come crumbling down later.
mhm.
They're just leaving all of it open so that at some point later on in the movie they're going to be like, remember, I told you this and I was just that believable and you didn't and you believed me.
Yeah.
And I'm holding on to that idea of Brie Larson being trapped in her own head for 25 years or however long it is, 30
Yeah.
years, and then she comes out of it and she's mad as hell and she's gonna go destroy Thanos and return the universe to its proper order.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. What did you? Oh, I started to ask you about the montage. Remember that there was the montage where they were sort of giving her human story background, where it was like all
Hmm.
of those times that she had fallen down and gotten back up, and like
Yeah.
the kid saying, "Slow down, you can't go that fast," and like her
Hmm.
dad being,
An asshole.
yeah, he was an asshole, but I can't remember what he said. What did you think about all of that?
Um, I liked that part. I liked how they highlighted that even though she didn't remember anything about herself, that there was this still like core personality that had stayed,
Mm-hmm.
and that she's always been the kind of person who keeps pushing herself and who keeps getting back up.
And you
And
are. Go ahead.
though I think the montage where they show her like getting back up after all these things
Mm-hmm.
comes later.
Yes, it does come later.
Because first they just show her like falling, just like over and over again.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I sort of put them both together in my head, I think.
Sure. Yeah,
Um,
and then later they show her. It's like a montage of her getting back up, and it was at that moment when I was like, hell yeah, Brie Larson, like Captain Marvel
yeah,
is the best.
so I have a question that you are more qualified to answer than I am.
Hmm.
This is the first female superhero with her own movie in this MCU universe, right?
Hmm.
First one for them, the first one for them.
Yeah.
So, uh, yeah, did it? What did you think? Did it like? Was it as satisfying as you wanted it to be? Was it disappointing, or like what? How was it? How did it live up?
It was so satisfying that I started to cry during the
Oh,
movie, like while I was watching
that's
it.
pretty good. That's
It
pretty good.
was it was like around that moment, and then I teared up a little when she's I think when she changed her uniform colors.
Yeah,
Um, I need to
that was
rewatch the
good.
movie, but I love
That
that scene
that
so
that
much.
moment with her
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 friend's kid.
her friend's kid, yeah, and she's like, "You pick the colors." Yeah, that was really good. I listened to one podcast about the movie where they said like they wish it would have been less Brie Larson and a bunch of dudes and more Brie Larson like amp up her partner, her like Air Force
Hmm.
partners role more and like just lean into it like because they were saying like well they didn't say this but on the podcast I was listening to but they were saying like it was kind of ambiguous about whether they were supposed to be like romantically involved or not and then there was like some offhand comment where they said that they weren't
Hmm.
um I think if I don't know there's something to be said about like making a superhero appealing and ambiguous to where she could be gay or she could be straight. Like I get that, but I also have enough gay friends who are like, can we please for the love of God just have a gay superhero
Just
already?
just
Like
one. Just
just do it already. Yeah.
and one that isn't like that they're gay or they're bi because of some offhanded comment that the director makes. Like I want to see
Hmm.
it in the movie and I want it to be
Yeah.
clear.
Yeah. I think, and I don't know that maybe Captain Marvel's not the right place to do that. Maybe whatever. I don't know, but but yeah, I think it was Slate's spoiler podcast that I was listening to. They were saying like that they wanted more female like entourage. Like as
Hmm.
set, I sort of agree. Like watching Samuel L. Jackson get to act and like be somebody more than just the stern guy who comes and tells them that they're recruited into the Avengers. Like that was great. Seeing him interacting with the cat was great. He was like
Yeah.
doing interesting things that people who have his character usually don't do. Um,
Hmm.
oh, and there was a moment in the movie when it was at the beginning when they're like the mean soldier uh Kree crew is like bantering or whatever and then the stern older guy says to the other guy like well I think you are a handsome man or something.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's
I
the joke is it's ironic because you are actually very attractive.
Right, yeah, I thought that was nice like because
Yeah.
like it was I think the reason it was humorous is because it's playing with the audience that you think this guy is going to act a certain way but I don't think it was making fun of like I felt like the joke was good like I didn't think a lot of times those jokes are like oh look here, isn't it funny to think that this guy might be actually think another guy is attractive? Like, I don't think that was the joke. I think the
Right.
joke, I think the joke was against. I think it was good. Did you think so too?
I did. I love that moment because it wasn't like, haha, he's gay. It's
Yeah,
haha, this really tough guy is actually very sweet and wholesome.
yeah,
And it was just
yeah,
this like gentle moment that was unexpected. And
yeah, yeah. And that's why it threw me too, because I thought that they were showing us the flags or whatever, that these were the good guys because they,
right. Because
yeah,
like they
that's
care
why.
about each other and they banter and
Yeah,
um yeah,
yeah,
they seem to enjoy spending time with each other.
right, right. Yeah. Uh, okay. Do we talk about Goose now? Is this the Goose
Yes.
portion
Yes,
of
I
the?
think we've
Okay,
reached the goose portion.
okay,
Oh,
go.
actually, just one more quick
Oh,
thing that I wanted to talk about. You had said how you enjoyed watching Nick Fury being able to do more than just sort of be the grim administrator.
mm-hmm.
Um, it was almost like a mini Nick Fury origin story
Oh,
too.
oh, totally, totally. Yeah.
And I enjoyed that, but I would also agree that I wish her her flight partner had been brought in sooner.
Mm-hmm.
Because the two of them are just like this amazing duo. They work so well together. They had amazing chemistry on the screen.
Yeah.
Same
Yeah.
with
She was.
her and Annette Bening. Like, I wish
Yeah.
the women who eventually saved the day ultimately would have come in earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
One thing I had read was that someone said they really enjoyed it both as a feminist movie and as a Nick Fury buddy cop movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I saw that same thing. Yeah. Yeah.
But that being said, I was really glad that it did end up being these like badass ladies saving the day.
I think,
And
yeah, they just should have leaned into it way more, I think.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
I will say the other thing I really enjoyed just about, I guess speaking of badass ladies, um, Captain Marvel, what's her
Carol
character?
Danvers
Thank you,
is her. Yeah.
Carol Danvers.
Yeah.
Um, Carol is both badass, but making her badass doesn't make her also like she doesn't have to be super gritty and infallible and
Mm-hmm.
like a hard ass on top of it because sometimes you get this like badass female trope where like the woman can be strong but like that has to be the sole focus of who she is, whereas Carol,
Yeah.
she's an amazing fighter and she is tenacious, um but she is also kind and compassionate and has
Mm-hmm.
like some flaws and some softer sides. Like when she's interacting with her friend's kid, like there's just this sweet gentleness to their interaction. Like when she's letting her choose the colors, and even though things are serious, she's taking a moment and is delighted by this little girl's choices.
Mm-hmm.
And so I
Mm-hmm.
liked that fullness of character that like, oh, she comes in and she kicks ass and that's all she does, but it's not. And they did that well, I think, in
Yeah.
balancing her out.
Yeah. The the Slate podcast that I listened to, the spoiler special, um, what they were saying about her character was they were happy that they were happy that Soapy dog. Soapy's whining. Calm down, buddy. They were happy that Carol didn't have a romantic interest.
Hmm.
Like I can see it. I can see it both ways, right? Because we were just saying like, just give us a gay superhero already. Like
Hmm.
I agree with that, and if but at the same time, I like when movies aren't all about romantic. subplots and stuff. Like Thor Ragnarok didn't have any romance in it, and it was, that was a buddy cop space movie,
Yeah,
basically,
I like movies about friendship, is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think a romantic subplot, because I'd kind of expected them to go that route between her and her Kree commander. That
Oh,
I thought that
yeah.
that was going to be part of the difficulty of
Yeah.
like, oh, but she's in love with him and blah blah blah, and they didn't do it, and I'm so happy
Yep.
because I feel like a romantic subplot would have minimized everything else that was going on
Yeah,
because
I agree.
there's just so much happening, and while it would be awesome if she turned out to be gay, I feel like it doesn't necessarily even need to be part of the main storyline.
hmm Yeah, right. Yeah, she's she's like a cool standalone character.
Hmm.
I might have to give Zoe more food. He's giving me a weird look. We'll see. We'll wait for a second.
Okay. You have the
Um,
weirdest relationship with your boss.
it's true. It's true. Uh, what was I gonna say? Oh, and the other part is like the other part of it not being about like romance or whatever is that they didn't make her outfit like all boobsy or whatever.
Yeah,
It wasn't like she had on like a combat outfit.
yeah, she's wearing a pilot suit.
Yeah, yeah, and
Hmm.
they I don't know if it were me. I think that they could have leaned. I just want them to lean into stuff a little bit more. Like the guy tells her to smile, and I was like, that dude's getting his ass kicked. Like
Right.
here's your chance to make to like a superhero who's been like a trained badass. This person is saying that to her. Here's where she kicks his ass, and we get to watch it on screen.
Yeah.
And they didn't go that route.
I think that would have been satisfying, but I think it would have been out of character because
May
she is so focused that this guy, he's being an asshole, but he is like almost beneath her notice
yeah,
because she's so
I
driven.
there's a way to write it though. Like
Yeah.
yes, there's a way to write it into the script because we got to see her beat up an old lady, which was
Yeah,
funny.
that was really
Like
good.
like that was funny, but what if she figured out that that was one of the I don't know. I don't know. I feel like there's a way to write it in there where that line could have been done by a villain, and then we could have also got to watch her kick somebody's ass.
Yeah, like if what actually would have
One.
been funny is if he'd gotten in her face a little bit about smiling and then
Mm-hmm.
she could kick his ass, thinking, "Oh,
Yes.
this guy's clearly a Skrull," but then he's
Right,
not.
but he's
He's just this
not. Yeah.
guy. And then she's like,
Oh,
"Oh, sorry." And then she takes his bike.
yeah. Like, oh, and even maybe a line. Oh, I thought you were. Oh, you're not a scroll. You're just an asshole.
Yes. Yes. That would have been very good.
Like that line. Come on, why is that line not in the movie?
Yeah, that would have been perfect. I guess there were,
You're not
I
a
think,
scroll. You're just an asshole.
yeah, that was very good.
Yeah, that would have been good.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um. Uh. What else was I gonna say? Oh, yeah. So her suit super cool.
Hmm.
The way they designed the mask thing with like the cool mohawk coming out, and then
Oh,
when
yes.
she's all like super powered up and like flame on or whatever, and it's all like it looks super neat.
Uh-huh.
Um, I didn't like the addition of the I didn't like the addition of the leather jacket at the end, only because it looks way too similar now to Star Lord's um,
Uh,
outfit, and
yeah.
he even has a similar mask type.
Hmm.
Like I think that look is cool.
Hmm.
Uh, I
But
don't
it's
like
already
how.
been done.
Yeah, I just don't. I wish it looks in if Star-Lord stuff didn't exist, I'd be like, that is badass. Like, keep it and run
Hmm.
with it. But it's just a little too similar to like the Star-Lord thing, and
Hmm.
like I maybe they could have that I'm getting real nitpicky, but maybe they could have spent a little more time designing something that looked just as badass, or just lose the leather jacket or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get it. Putting on the jacket over the uniform bothered me too, but for a
Yeah.
different reason.
Oh,
I hadn't made the Star-Lord connection in the moment, but I definitely see and agree with your point
yeah.
about it. My thought was like that's just a lot of layers. That's going to be just real bunchy.
Oh.
Like this is just an incredibly impractical look,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like it's going to be bunchy and warm, and like it's going to
Bunchy.
fall off in space. Like this is not this
Yeah, but
fabric is not designed to go in space.
oh, yeah. What's the thing? I mean,
There are a lot of
yeah,
just pragmatic issues for
yeah.
for me.
I think it's cool that they tried to like tie it back into like her her service times or whatever.
Yeah, no, I get that too, but
Yeah, I thought that was kind of neat. Uh, I don't know. Should we keep talking or should we wrap it up? We've been talking for a while.
I think we hit all the big points. Oh, the one more thing that I wanted to talk about. I really liked that when she first started using the full force of her powers, she
Hmm.
was not perfect at it. Like
Oh
there
yeah,
was
yeah.
like she wasn't like blowing herself all over like a hose turned on full or anything, but
Hmm.
she was like a little staggered occasionally. And then there's this really great moment where she's a little surprised. She's
Hmm.
like, whoa. And then she has this grin where you can see she goes from whoa to, oh, hell yeah. And then like
Yeah.
rushes forward.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like you should always. I feel like in the in superhero-y terms, like it always pays off to have the superheroes have some place to like turn it up,
Hmm.
something that they hold back. Like you don't want them to reach full, to use Dragon Ball Z terms or whatever, like Super Saiyan mode, like right away.
Right.
So I like that I like how badass she was.
Hmm.
I think they should have held back a lot. Like
Sure.
it's just way more payoff.
Like for the
I can't
next movie.
for yeah the little increments even that you just trickle the power like escalating and escalating and escalating, like it's so satisfying when you finally get to that moment of like Lord of the Universe or something.
Yeah.
um there's some essay or something that I read a while ago where they were talking about, I don't know if you've seen this movie, but the first Superman movie with Christopher Reeves. Um,
I think a long time ago I did.
there's like he does a whole bunch of Superman does a whole bunch of things in there that are big. Like he saves a plane and he like spins the earth around backwards and does like a bunch of big things. And the scope for these superhero things, the sort of like small things have the big payoff. So like
Hmm.
this guy was saying, like in the moment, the thing that paid off the most in that movie, in the Superman movie, was him digging Lois Lane out of the rubble and like picking her out of the rubble.
Hmm.
You know, um, so yeah, anyways, I agree with you. I myself, I would have think like play the long game, like
Sure.
just have her dial it up in notches. Um, this might be mixing metaphors too much, but like Metroid, the game,
Hmm. Yeah.
what they do in Metroid is like in the first Metroid, the whole game is just trying to build. You're doing a bunch of things and finding things, but like it's like a Zelda game. You reach your maximum potential at the very last point in the game. You're like, oh
Hmm.
my god, this is so cool. You can do all these things.
Hmm.
Um, And then in one of the later versions of Metroid, what they do is they start you off at full power, and then all of your powers get ripped away. And then you have to like
Mm,
spend the rest of the game like collecting everything until you're back up to this crazy mode that you were at the beginning, plus and then some. Um,
cool.
yeah, I think either one of those structures would work narratively too, because you could just, I don't know, you could just spend, there's lots of time you can spend like introspecting on how to like on what this means and stuff. I
Hmm.
I would like more, you see it a lot in comic books and you don't see it as much in these comic book movies, is introspection and like voiceovers. Voiceovers happen so much in comic books, and there's no voiceovers that are happening in these Marvel movies.
Yeah. Yeah, I would
Right?
like that.
Yeah, like there's none. And that's a comic book trope. And
Hmm.
like maybe people don't like voiceover movies, but I like it. It's a film noir thing. Oh, the oh, we never talked about Goose.
Goose. Yes, let's talk about Goose
Go for it.
before we wrap it up.
I think we got to talk about that, and we got to talk about the last. It might just be a moment, but the last, what she does to Jude Law at the end, what she says to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, you go,
Um,
Goose.
all right. So Goose is this cat that's just kind of been around and apparently was like there when she was a pilot too. Um, and then one of my favorite moments, actually a series of favorite moments in the movie is Nick Fury's absolute adoration of this cat.
Oh, it's so good.
Like, and then at that time, so Nick Fury's like doing like that baby talk to the cat. And I'm like, he is all of us. He
Hmm.
loves this cat. I love this cat. Um, and then when the Skrull is afraid of the cat,
Yeah,
I wasn't sure what they were going to do with that, but I found that pretty funny. I forget what they called
Flurkin.
Flurkin,
Yeah,
and
the cat's a
then
Flurkin. Yeah.
and and I figure like, oh, it's just gonna. This is just like a gag.
Uh
Like
huh.
these creatures are scared of something that happens to look like human cat or like Earth cats,
Right.
and then you find out, no, in fact, this is an alien. This
Yeah.
cat has tentacles that come out of its mouth, and
Yeah.
it was a little Deus Ex Machina at the end, like, oh, this cat,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but I was really into it.
Yeah.
That the
Yeah.
cat is part of what ultimately defeats the bad guys,
And
the real bad guys.
right. And I think the coolest thing that the cat does, like the coolest reveal, I think, maybe not the coolest reveal. It's pretty cool. The
Mm-hmm.
cool reveal about how Nick Fury gets his eye patch by Goose sort of getting antsy and scratching him in the eye.
Uh-huh.
Like that's such a good little touch, I think.
Uh-huh. And then later when Coulson is like, so I hear you got that doing whatever. It was
Right.
something like a lot tougher. And he's like, I will neither confirm nor deny.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah,
And
that was great.
though I had been hoping that when at the end when Coulson brings him that suitcase or that like briefcase full of eyeballs, like fake
Hmm.
eyes, I was hoping it was going to be like eye patches. Like some of them like
Oh,
really fancy, and then in the middle is just like the plain black one that he goes with.
right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. I liked it with the eye thing
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, it
But
worked.
and what did you think about Jude Law's standing off against Brie Larson? Okay, now's the time. I'm throwing down my weapons now. Prove to me, blah 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 blah. And then Brie Larson just shoots him in the chest,
I
and what does she say?
I love that so much. I don't have
She's
anything to prove to you.
Yeah. She says I don't have to. I think she says I don't have to prove anything to you.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
Yes. I don't have to prove anything to you.
yeah,
I loved that. That was, I think, like the second, maybe third time I teared up during that movie.
yeah.
Because it was so great because um they're in a different movie, she totally would have turned off her powers to fight him.
Mm-hmm.
to prove to him, and but it would have been framed like it was her proving it to herself. I'm like, no, you're proving something to this dude, and he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter. He doesn't matter anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
and part of the whole thing is her, this whole time they've been like, oh, we gave you these powers, we can take them away. You are bad at controlling them. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so she's like come into her own, and she can control her powers, and they are more than she thought they were. And basically, it's sort of like she was right the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And she just blasts them. And I was like, yes, good. This is how I wanted this fight to go. Because I was worried that for a moment she was going to fight him like one on one.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then she blasted him. I was like, oh, no, that didn't need to happen. This is what
Yeah.
she needed to do. She needed to just blast him. And I loved that she just like sent him back empty handed because she knew what that would do to him.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, that was great. And then she leaves at the end of the movie. She leaves and goes to help nation build or whatever with the scrolls.
Yeah, help them
It's
find their
it's
new home.
it's fine. I like the anti-colonialism message, but
Mm-hmm.
I think that's good. I think that marks a change in like movies and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I still think that they kind of miss. I feel like we the watchers, the viewers, have to like dwell on things that they did not dwell on enough for us to like sort of make this movie as pleasurable as we want it to be. Like we have to put more weight into Annette Bening's character and into
Mm.
the like
Yeah. Yeah,
like
she should
we
have.
have we have to do that work ourselves and extrapolate out from the screen time. So
Yeah, she should have played a bigger role for sure. Or
yeah,
more clear screen time, more information about this character.
yeah, yeah.
Because I think
You know
part
what?
of
Go
oh, go
ahead.
ahead. Part of why we connect to this character right away is that she's Annette Bening.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think they rely on that a little too much. Because if it was anybody else, it would be like, yeah, I was this important person to her, but I need more to go on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But because it's Annette Bening, we're like, oh, well, this is like a significant actress. And
Mm-hmm.
so this role must be important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um. I kind of want to see. This is sort of a tangent off the
Mhm.
trail that we were just on, but I kind of want to see a very like classical trilogy. Like I would really love to see just like self-contained three movies. There's no big crossover in between where we have to worry about like following this thread or that. But like we were talking about with the powers stuff,
Mhm.
they they have to get right away to how full strength her powers are because they need her for this other narrative thing in
Mhm.
Infinity Endgame or whatever.
Right.
Um, and another podcast that I was listening to was like it was saying how like at the end of Avengers Infinity War, they they enjoyed that the end of the movie didn't end the way all the other Marvel movies end with it with like okay, there's the end of the bad guy. Like, oh,
Mhm.
here's a little bit of a cliffhanger and the bad guy's going to be back.
Mhm.
Um, it's like you if they had more trilogies and stuff built in, I feel like they could do more of like the classic trilogy structure, if we use like the original Star Wars trilogy as an example, right? Like you
Mhm.
set up the premise in the first one, then go to the second, leave it on this huge cliffhanger where everything sucks and everything's falling apart, and then like
Mhm.
the big huge payoff that ties everything together at the end. Like, man,
Yeah,
I feel like they should do something like that.
that would have been that would have been good.
Yeah. Um. Okay. Well,
I think
well,
that
we
was
did it.
good. We
Yeah.
did. And yeah, overall, I liked it, and I wanna see it
I did
again.
too.
Um,
Yeah,
I want to
I'll
see it
definitely
again
watch it.
to.
I might watch it at when it comes to like the second run theater or something.
Hmm. Yeah, when it comes
Or
to the budget.
yeah, yeah, or wait till another streaming service or something. Yeah, I
Hmm.
think I have like a Letterboxd account. I don't know if you know what that is, but have you ever used that
Hmm.
Letterboxd? It's pretty good. It's for like
Oh,
tracking what movies you've seen. And you
oh,
can
neat.
like, yeah, I'll send you the link. But they you rate the movies that you watch, and I think I gave it like 3.5. I think now that we talked about it more, I think it maybe deserves 4. Just for not necessarily for like how well done it was, but for what it stands for, I guess.
Yeah,
You know, like it's a pretty
yeah. I
big deal.
think it's the phrase that came to mind the other day was that it's not necessarily my favorite Marvel movie, like
Hmm.
overall movie, but had some of my favorite Marvel moments,
Yeah, yeah,
if that makes sense.
it does totally. Well, all right, all right. I guess we call it. Let's call it.
All right, it's a good recording.
Okay, that was good. Okay, I'll talk to you later.
But bye.
Gonna gonna press the
Press the big button.
stop. Gonna press the stop.